I get started. So what I'll do is I'll tell you a little about myself. Just to get started, wait for a few people to come in. Well, first of all, I am very excited to be doing this with CCAP Los Angeles. I really appreciate this for having me on to come share my craft and my knowledge of cooking with you all. So that's first and foremost. Second is a little about me. My name is Chef Marshall. I've been a personal chef now for about 5 years. I've been in the culinary industry for about 10 years. I'm a graduate of Le Cordon Bleu, Chicago, based here in Chicago. So I'm a graduate of Le Cordon Bleu. After that, went and did some work at a few restaurants, but decided that this is something that I wanted to do on my own. And so I left and became a personal private chef. And that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. So cooking for some wonderful people and all of that great stuff. So what I am doing today is spaghetti carbonara. Spaghetti carbonara is probably one of my favorite of Italian dishes. Besides the aglio e olio, which is a spaghetti with garlic, pretty much. Olive oil and garlic, simple ingredients. I absolutely love simple ingredients. So what we're going to do, some of our ingredients we have is spaghetti. Another great one you can use is the bucatini, and the bucatini have a little hole in the middle. And once you make your sauce, that sauce gets down in that hole. But if you don't have the bucatini, you can definitely use spaghetti. Originally, now this dish is pretty controversial because some people use cream, some people don't. I am going to stick to the authentic, most traditional recipe. And that is just using pasta water and cheese. Those simple ingredients, that's what it is. And it's made with guanciale, which is smoked pork jaw. But if you don't have guanciale, you can definitely use pancetta. Bacon is an option also. Also, some people use Parmesan. But I'm staying with the true authenticity of this recipe. So I am using Pecorino Romano, which is a crumbly sheep cheese, which is perfect. At the start of the show, black pepper. We have some salt and an egg. So first thing we are going to do is we're going to start our pancetta. And always start your bacon on low. You don't want this to start frying up right away. We want this to come up to room temp and start frying along with it. So we want this bacon to just ease its way into frying. That's what we want to do. Give me 1 second. I have some pasta water boiling over there that I'm waiting to come up to a boil. And what we want to do is we want to render the fat from this. And that's one reason why you want to use a fatty piece of pork. So that's usually why they use the pork jaw, because it's nice and fatty. You don't want too much lean meat. You don't want a lean pork product. You want a nice fatty pork product so that that oil renders, that fat renders from that meat. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to render the fat from here. Like cooking is like one of the things that I love to do. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that, what we're going to do is we're going to crack 1 egg. And we're going to shave some of the pecorino cheese in here. We want lots of this cheese. This is what's going to make our sauce. The egg mixture and the cheese is what's going to make our sauce. Oop. And we are going to whisk this. Now, one of the things when you're doing pasta water, one of the keys to pasta water is seasoning your pasta water. But because of all of these ingredients that we have that are pretty heavily salted, we don't want to use too much salt in our pasta water. So you want to go really easy on salting your pasta. And you don't want to salt it too heavily. I'm going to give this a good whisk. We're going to set this aside. In the meantime, we're going to do our bacon or our pancetta. And this, we can see that fat is starting to render. This is going to take about 10 to 15 minutes to render that fat and be done. If you guys have any questions, my daughter is holding the camera. She will shout those questions out to me and read them off, and I can answer them as I am doing this presentation. Yeah, I have my pasta water. Now here is another that is totally optional. Just a piece of garlic. Right into the pan. Once that fat starts to render, it's going to get some of that garlic flavor in there. And then we also want to add pepper into this. Going to give that pork, this pancetta, a nice spicy flavor as it renders.
What kind of meat is that?
So this is pancetta. As I mentioned earlier, the original recipe calls for pork jaw, which is actually the jaw of the pig. They take it and they smoke it. It's nice and fatty. But if you can't find pork jaw, you can use pancetta. You can actually use bacon also, thick cut bacon. Make sure it's more fatty than anything.
When did you first discover that cooking was your profession?
So, I first discovered cooking was my profession, I want to say maybe about 10 years ago. In 2009, well, I'll go back a little. I used to love always cooking with my mom in the kitchen. Now, I wasn't always in the kitchen with her, but those holidays, Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, you know, those family holidays, I would definitely be in the kitchen learning. And that's where my passion for cooking started. But it wasn't until 2009, I was laid off from my job due to the financial crisis, the housing market crashed, and all of that wonderful stuff we know in 2009. And I always loved doing this. I would love to throw dinner parties, things like that. So a friend of mine, she encouraged me to go to culinary school. She said, you really have a gift. You should really try doing this professionally. I think you're really great at it, and I think you would do well in it. So I will never forget, in 2009, I'm laying on my couch, trying to figure out my next move of what I am going to do next. And this commercial for the Cordon Bleu comes on, asking me, did I love cooking? Did I love cooking? Are you interested in a career of cooking in hospitality? And I said to myself, yes, that's me. And so I enrolled into culinary school. And that passion grew from there. And I'll never forget, I was in Dallas, Texas, and I was watching Oprah Winfrey. Watching the Oprah Winfrey show, and there was this guy on there by the name of Emeril Lagasse. And he was making a dish that I always wanted to make, which was gumbo. I always wanted to learn how to make gumbo. He made this dish on there, and she gave the instructions on how to follow him. And he was on the Food Network. At that time, he was doing Emeril Live. And I started following him on the Food Network, and that passion just grew more and more and more. I started trying recipes and all of that great stuff. And that's where the passion relit. That flame was relit. Any more questions? See how that fat is starting to render from here? That's what we want.
What culinary school did you go to? What did they teach you that you find very important?
So, I went to Le Cordon Bleu in Chicago. What they taught me that I think was the most important, and I know you all heard this. If you're in culinary school, you all heard mise en place, which is pretty much everything in this place. And that pretty much taught me how to put things together in life, not just in the kitchen, but making sure that everything in life is in its place before you start anything. So, and that taught me discipline. It taught me readiness. It taught me how to prep and get things together. So, and that's why you see all of this stuff that's here. It's from that teaching, mise en place. So, our pasta water is boiling. What we want to do, we want to take this and boom, just like that. Add a little salt to it. Not too much. And this is going to cook for about 10 minutes.
What's the best part for you working in the kitchen?
Oh my goodness. The best part for me for working in the kitchen was the excitement of it. It was pretty much the excitement of dinner service. That's what I love most, the dinner service, because we had to pump out food, and it got me. It helped me become quicker at what I was doing, helped me become more efficient. So that was the best part about cooking in a professional kitchen. And meeting some cool people, like-minded people that were great cooks and great chefs. Any more questions? So our spaghetti is going to cook for about 10 minutes until it's al dente. And we all know what al dente is, it's to the bite. And the way to test your pasta is not by taking a piece and throwing it up against the wall. That is not how you test your pasta. Regardless of what you were taught or what you've seen growing up, that is not how you test your pasta. The best way to test your pasta is take a piece and taste it. That is the best way to test your pasta.
What would you say you're best at cooking?
What am I best at cooking? So I love roasting. Roasting is like one of my favorites. I love roasting, and I've just developed this love for barbecuing too. So smoking. I've smoked the brisket. I've smoked pork. I've smoked pork shoulder. I've done a whole smoked chicken in the past few weeks, and I've done it Texas style. So that's been one of the great things that I love about, that's one of my favorite things of cooking. Now it's those two, roasting and also grilling. We can get rid of our garlic. We don't need that. This is flavored beautifully. We're just waiting on our spaghetti.
What are some challenges of being a personal chef?
So some of the challenges of being a personal chef is building your brand. Once you get past that, once you have built your brand, it becomes easy. I get booked quite often, so I have some followers. I have a nice team of followers that follow me, that loves what I do. But the thing was building my brand, getting myself out there, getting known as a personal chef. Because if people don't know you, then they don't know what you can do. So building that brand was probably one of the hardest things to do. Or difficult things. But I've done it. I'm 10 years in and I have a great following. I just started a YouTube channel, Discussion Time 2. I will definitely leave that link in the comments. So you can follow me on Instagram at Chef Marshall. Follow me on Facebook at Chef SDM and on YouTube at Discussion Time 2 at gmail.com. I will definitely leave that link in there. Give me 1 second.
What ingredient can't you live without?
So, the one ingredient that I cannot live without, and you say one ingredient, right? Oh, that's a hard one. No,
What?
it's an easy one. Salt. It's the one ingredient I cannot live without. Because without salt, food would be flavorless. Salt is not only there's a few purposes for salt. It is a preservative. It helps with locking in moisture, and it also helps with drawing out moisture, and also as a flavor component. Even in brining, you need salt. So even just sugar, salt and water rather, just salt and water is a great brine, helps keep your food moist. So salt is the one ingredient I cannot live without.
What did you find most challenging when learning to professionally cook?
Good question. I don't know if there was anything challenging for me. I know it sounds kind of like it sounds kind of like crazy, but there was nothing that was challenging for me because I had been cooking, and the only thing I learned to do is develop those skills more professionally. So even when it came to baking, I learned how to bake. I learned how to, you know what? One of the things was cutting and time management. So that's it, time management. That was my thing. I used to suck at time management, but I got a lot better by getting my mise en place in place. So that was the one thing, even with timing and making sure that everything is on time. So that was the one thing that I found a little difficult for me per se, and that was time management.
What's your biggest career goal?
My biggest career goal is doing what I'm doing right now. Educating people. Showing what I do in the kitchen. Spreading that love and showing people exactly how they can do it in the kitchen as well. So that is my biggest career goal. Ooh, that's hot. It's educating people on food and how to cook food. Like that is like my persona when it comes to food. Educating the masses. I love educating.
How many years have you been in the cooking industry?
Total of 10 years now. It just made 10 years.
Have you ever been in any competitions?
Have not been in any competitions. Not as of yet. We got about a few more minutes on our spaghetti. Our pancetta is done. Nice, crispy. The oil has rendered.
What's the hardest part for you as a chef?
The hardest part for me is, the hardest part for me is breaking people out of old traditions into new traditions, or what is the correct way to do things. Because a lot of us, we were taught by our moms, our grandmas, aunts, uncles, a certain way to do things, which was the home cooked way, but there is a professional way. And it's like breaking people out of that is usually kind of difficult.
What made you get into culinary arts?
I love to cook. Simple as that. I love to cook. I enjoyed it. Check this again once more. Almost there. Another minute, and we'll be there. Give me 1 second.
Did you have any other career paths you were interested in before culinary?
Before culinary, believe it or not, so even one, as of today, I am a contractor, so I do construction. It's my full-time gig on top of being a private chef. I own a small construction company, so that's one. But what I wanted to do originally was be a lawyer. But that took too much schooling and too much money, and that quickly changed. For me.
What's the best piece of advice you have for our CCAP students across the country?
The best piece of advice that I can give you is do not lose your passion. Your passion is what drives you. You have something inside of you. There's a reason why you chose the program. There are going to be hurdles. There are going to be circumstances that come. Life is going to happen. But do not lose that passion, because that passion forms into your gift, and your gift makes room for you. That would be my best piece of advice. Do not lose that fire. Do not lose that passion.
Is thinking outside of the box one of the biggest things for you as a chef?
Yes, it is. Thinking outside of the box is definitely one of the biggest things for me. So, we are ready. So, one of the things we love to do, this is egg and cheese. If you don't do this correctly, you are going to end up with scrambled pasta. So, one of the things, I know we've all learned this in culinary school, and that is tempering. And tempering is pretty much getting that water in there, bringing your eggs up to temp so that it does not curdle. So once we bring this up, once we temp these to keep it from curdling, what we're going to do, we're going to turn this fire off on here. We're going to add some of this pasta water. You hear that frying? We don't want frying. We don't want that when we put that egg mixture in there. We don't want any of that. We want that just as silent as that. We do not want frying. Now we're going to add our pasta to this.
What culinary school did you go to?
Le Cordon Bleu. Shout out. Le Cordon Bleu, Chicago. So we have this. And now, what we're going to start doing, I'm going to show you how to do this. This is what's going to make moving this around slowly so it starts to make that sauce. And we don't get that curdling. And by doing that, you want to keep that off of the fire and make sure that this is definitely curdling. And as you can see, we have a nice sauce from the egg and Parmesan mixture from the egg and Pecorino Romano. This is it. Then we finish this with more pepper because pepper is the key to this dish. And then what we basically do is label this over.
How should a professional kitchen look like?
So no matter, it's not about equipment. The one thing I always say, a professional kitchen is not about the equipment you have. It's not about what you have. If you have a Viking stove, you can have the greatest mixers and all of that stuff. How to know a professional kitchen is a clean kitchen. That is a professional kitchen, a clean kitchen. So we have this just as such. We can remove this. I'm gonna add just a little more pepper to it because I told you the pepper is the star of the show. Then we're going to take this and grate that Pecorino Romano right over there, just as such. And that right there is all love.
What is your ultimate goal with your YouTube channel?
My ultimate goal is to deliver exciting, beautiful recipes to the world, to the masses. That is my ultimate goal for my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. And that's it. That's our culinary treat for today. Spaghetti carbonara. It is one of the most easiest, simplest, delicious dish you'll ever create. And we usually have these things on hand in our kitchen. Probably not the Pecorino Romano, but it's worth it. I keep Pecorino Romano. I keep Parmesan. I keep Parmigiano Reggiano. I keep a few cheeses in my fridge because I love pasta. So we are going to take this. I'm going to taste a little of this. Make sure I get some of that pancetta in there. And everything you know, it's always about presentation. 1 second. All right, let's go in for this. I can't wait. Get some of everything. Give me a moment. I hate to teach you all on camera like this, but this is absolutely amazing. Try this recipe. I'm going to save the video, and what I'll do, I'll definitely post the ingredients and the directions in the comment section of it. So until then, thank you all for having me, CCAP Los Angeles. Thanks to the wonderful students. Thanks to Anthony McPhee for reaching out and allowing me to do this and bring this to your students. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the love you all have shown. Thank you for tuning in. Have a blessed one. Don't end it yet. I want to save it. It's going to leave a prompt to save. Yeah.